But let's talk about something that everybody wants to chime in on, and that is the jerseys from this season. And Heath, you said it before we came on, and I'm just going to repeat it here. Heath Pierce said that whatever you think about the jerseys, this is probably the best crop we've had ever in MLS history. And I think I'd have to agree with it. There's some ideas, there's some creativity here. And so, Heath, I'm going to go back to you on this, give you the floor. Let's give us your top three, and then maybe one that you think's an absolute dud, and then Charlie, you'll be next.
Yeah. So from a traditional standpoint, like traditional kits, I really like Toronto FC's just stripes. I like the colorway of that. Just that's from a traditional standpoint. It's not my number one, but I'm looking at it right now because it's on the screen. I like when you do something well with a traditional kit. It doesn't always have to be an art piece, and I ride with that. And then I like LA Galaxies as well. I just like the colors around the collar and the sleeves. I think that really looks nice. Also, going away from Adidas under the 3 stripes, I think is a super clean look on all the jerseys, right? So if you remember last year, it was a smaller 3 stripes. I believe there was smaller 3 stripes, and then the lowercase spelling, which is how you spell the brand, Adidas, underneath it. And I like the confidence of just a 3 stripe. I think it blends well into these jerseys. So the LA Galaxy one. And then I'm really torn. I like LAFC's attempt. I like Philadelphia Union's attempt, but I'm gonna probably go Northern Lights with Minnesota. I like that.
There's some complaints that they didn't finish the jersey. Would you have liked to have seen it all be that colorway? I mean,
it was like one of those rounds of feedback with an artist where he's like, "Well, that's going to cost you if you want another round of feedback."
We'll just take the half price.
Just like, fine, just be done with it. Then
it can't be the whole thing because it's the Northern Lights, it's the sky, so it's it's got to be just that portion.
What I like about the Minnesota one is they don't. And I heard this from somebody that is involved with the club. They had to fight really hard to not get the crest there. They just have the logo, the loon.
It's clean. It's clean.
I like that. I think the crest would have been too busy, and I think they made the right decision by leaving the crest out.
But from a branding standpoint, that's a big move to go outside of
to minimize it.
Most brands live within a circular or an oval or a square crest, and they don't manipulate that at all, right? In the same way that like Adidas generally outside of originals, you never see them break the 3 stripes and the lines. There's all these like brand guidelines, and to go outside of that, it just makes it looks really better. Clean. Yeah,
it does. It does. And then did you have a dud in there? Heath, what was your dud? Let's maybe throw up the big one again.
If producer Des, if you throw that one, the original of all the logos on there. Otherwise, I can scroll
there
through.
You can see them all together.
Just uninspired. I would say, and this is not a shot at the team that currently holds my rights hostage in Orlando City. Orlando's was a little underwhelming for me. That's probably the one that I would go with my biggest dud, at least of that particular one that's on there. Just a little bit too plain for me. But yeah, that's the one dud. I'll let you guys take it.
I will say that I like that there's outside of the St. Louis away one, the white one. I like that there's some type of movement in most of these jerseys. I like that, Charlie. I don't know which one.
By the way, what I will say is that should get on there. And if one of you guys don't put it, and Johnny Cash was from your era, when you were a kid growing up. And
so we have the same initials, baby. Yeah. What's up, JC?
Exactly. That jersey, just the branding around that jersey, the announcement, all of that in itself. Like, it's not my favorite jersey, so to speak, but that release
like a Johnny Cash edition, right? That you're partnering with a legend like that. I think it's sick. Smart. Pretty cool. Yeah. Charlie, what about you? Top 3 and your bottom one.
My and I want to say
preface. Here comes the preface.
Oh, preface. Okay. I really like Philadelphia's, Colorado's, Charlotte's, and Nashville's. Okay. I like the Revs too. I just like that plain red sash across. But my 3 favorite are TFC's, Minnesota's, and the Galaxies.
Okay.
But the Charlotte one is clean because that brings me back to the Charlotte Hornets days with Muggsy Bogues and Larry Johnson, Grandma Ma, Alonzo Mourning. But I mean the mental health one with Colorado Rapids centered around. I mean mental health that's clean. Look at that. That's a clean kit.
We're looking at
Charlotte. I like it.
Right
So
now.
different.
Everybody listening, we're looking at the Charlotte one.
There's not too many misses, right? The ones that are bad, but there's not too many misses.
So I've heard from the Sporting Kansas City people, and they're pretty upset that they have kind of the same thing that they've had before, except the little hoops are thinner. But there is a cry for maintaining and having an identity, right? And trying to, like AC Milan doesn't change their jersey, it's all pretty stock, or let's go national.
Well, they do
Brazil.
a third kit or an alternate kit.
Yeah, right.
Jimmy,
right.
the problem is there are a number of clubs who have just got it wrong from the beginning. So they're trying to find their identity. So if you don't have an identity, you got to experiment and find it, even though you've had a
change
bad
the bait,
one for a
change
while.
the bait on this hook and cast it back out and see if we can get a little fish on the end of this.
That doesn't mean you got to keep your bad one. You got to go out and find a new one. So there's a lot of swings and misses, right? Until you find one that catches. So there are a number of clubs who have had an identity, but it's been a bad one, right? So you're trying to get away from that. And there's been a look how many clubs have rebranded. And even with the rebrand, they still didn't get it right. It was the right time for the rebrand, but maybe the rebrand still isn't hitting the way that you probably thought it or wanted it to within the community or for the supporters. So I think with these jerseys, you're trying to get that back, right? It's every time you can release a new kit, it's like, all right, guys, this is it. This is the one that's going to stick. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then people aren't really feeling it.
I will say that when I played for the Bradenton Academics in PDL, we had
what a name.
More
Oxy,
jerseys.
Oxy,
it was
Oxy.
it was Nike. It was Nike at the time. We had more jerseys than any club I ever played at in terms of our variations. We had every color, every one. We had sick designs. Like we may have worn a new style of jersey for every single
Academics with a K, right?
Yeah. yeah.
I absolutely love that. All right. So that is it with the jerseys. That's going to be our coverage for
Jimmy.
MLS
What were yours?
Yeah. Are you going to go with mine?
Yeah.
Can you throw it back up? Des, throw it back up.
Look, he's trying to do the political.
He's trying to walk out the back. Yeah.
Oh, you should talk, Charlie. We already heard what you dodged.
He said, all right, guys.
We already heard what you didn't say,
I don't like so I like St. Louis's home kit.
Okay.
The pink kit. I don't like their away kit. It's pretty plain white. Doesn't do too much, and maybe they're going to sprinkle some surprises for year 2, but in year 1, a little disappointed.
Well, you can't have all you can't have all
bangers,
chaotic bangers. And then every week when like a team comes, you're like, well, man, how does like your blue, pink, and yellow match with our, like white, pink, purple, and blue? And you're like, that's you got to have something that you
got to have a standard.
Wear,
Okay, all right.
Except for refs,
all right.
they
I'll accept that.
Nothing.
Doesn't mean I like it. So I will say I like the cherry blossom with DC United. I know there had been some that had already existed. I think DC Scores, an organization there, was made by Olive and York. Love those guys and what they're doing. But nice to see that the cherry blossom was adopted by DC United. Maybe the blossom could have been popped a little bit more with the pink if I'm nitpicking.
Jimmy, 100%. I love the idea of it, but I think the execution on this jersey is not good. It's not good enough.
Okay. There's something I like about the Chicago Fire. I think that I like the mental health stuff in Colorado Rapids. I like the movement there. I like the creativity, the thought behind it. Really purposeful. I like Charlotte's. I think it's really clean. Atlanta United really leaning into former Metro Stars and AC Milan colors, trying to go back to what helped them win their first trophy. So going back to that, I think is smart. But I like the Galaxy. Can't get away from that one. I like that one a lot. I'm going to give a shout out to the Seattle Sounders. I know that you don't like it, Charlie, because they're going with red and that's not their color scheme.
Yeah.
But I like that it's kind of a one-off, very similar to the Johnny Cash thing in Nashville. It's tied into Bruce Lee and part of their heritage and their link to Bruce Lee and his link to Seattle overall. So I like that they're paying homage to him and something that. So I like the Seattle.
Could you not?
That could be like more of a third kit though. Instead of a second kit.
I'm the biggest Bruce Lee fan. My dad grew up on watching these like martial arts films, and he naturally I have to sit there and watch it too. Then you get hooked. I love Bruce Lee, but could you not incorporate Bruce Lee with your own colors though? That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
So that one just feels off to me. I love the idea of it, but I just think it just feels off when you're like, wait, Seattle? Nah.